And our first main topic today gets sent in to us by Alton C Wang, who writes, I just rewatched The Social Network, decided to do my own research on what actually happened, and I realized that the vast majority of the movie is inaccurate. Well, that's not actually true. There are some things they took liberty on, but it's not the majority of the movie is not inaccurate. And made up. Is it wrong for filmmakers to do this? When the filmmaker changes the origin of a comic book character, we get mad. We apply the same principle to real. Should we apply the same principle to real people? All right. Thanks a lot for sending in that question, Alton. And actually, The Social Network was actually built on a book by somebody who was kind of the biographer of the whole rise of Facebook and stuff like that. And do they take some liberties? Absolutely. Is the vast majority of it inaccurate? No. But it does take a number of liberties, so we can agree on that. The question is, though, for a movie like, say, Facebook, like Social Network, that's based on real life events, that's based on a true story, and revolves around something that the vast majority of us use or come across at least almost on a daily basis in our regular lives, talking about Facebook. Is it appropriate that movies and filmmakers take liberties with the facts and details of movies based on true events? Should they say that Jesse Eisenberg's character had a conversation with Andrew Garfield's character at this time and place when maybe in the actual real life events that didn't really happen? Should they show a dramatic scene of, I don't know, Justin Timberlake's character freaking out and throwing something against the wall when maybe that was in dispute, maybe that didn't actually really happen in real life? Should that be put into the movie? I mean, after all, it is based on a true event. This is a topic that comes up every once in a while, particularly when a new movie comes out that is based on true events. Because, spoiler alert, every movie that comes out that's based on true events takes some liberties. Some small ones, some big ones. Some will take liberties with 15% of the movie. Some will take liberties with 75% of the movie, but they all do it to some degree or another. Is it inappropriate for them to do that? Now, I have my own opinion of this, and it's not the popular opinion, and that's fine. I can live with that. But my opinion on this whole thing has always been this. Just like I always say that a filmmaker who is adapting a novel into a movie, their number one responsibility is not to make the movie as true as possible to the book. The number one job of the filmmaker is not to be as accurate and reflective and honor the source material, be accurate to the source material as possible. That's not the number one job. The number one job is to make the best movie possible. And a book is a book. It's not a movie. It's not a visual medium. You got to change some things to make it more appealing for visual storytelling. You got to adapt. The number one job of the filmmaker is to make the best movie possible. When it comes to, and this is important, narrative storytelling, the number one job to me of a director and filmmakers when adapting something based on true events is not to be as accurate as possible to the real life events. Right now, there's a whole bunch of people yelling at me at the camera. How dare you say that? It's true, though. Their number one responsibility, the filmmakers, is not to make their movie as historically accurate as possible. They have the same number one responsibility as a filmmaker adapting a novel, to make the best movie possible. And that means you might take some liberties. And that's why I think it's important that this term kind of came about in the 80s based on true events. You know, and it is. These stories are based on true events, not to say that every single scene we see in them are actually factual, but the movie is based on true events. Because here's the big thing to me. There's a big distinction we need to make between documentaries and narrative filmmaking. If you want to see a film about the rise of Facebook that is 100% accurate, or at least as accurate as possible, go watch a documentary about the rise of Facebook. Go watch a newscast. Go watch an expose by 60 Minutes on the rise of Facebook. If what you're looking for is just an as accurate as possible explanation of what happened with the rise of Facebook, look for a documentary. Narrative filmmaking is a different beast. And the job of the storytellers is to tell the best story possible and to make the best movie possible, and that will mean taking liberties. And you and I, as audience members, shouldn't be so stupid that we think we get our education from a movie screen when we're watching a narrative story. We shouldn't be that dull, and we shouldn't be that idiotic. We should be smart enough to know I'm watching a movie based on this true story, but I know what I'm seeing won't necessarily, I'm sure there are some things in this movie that are bang on accurate to what happened in real life, but I'm also sure there's probably a bunch in here that's they take some creative liberties on. We need to assume that. We have different expectations for documentaries. We have different expectations for newscasts. We have different expectations for dissertations and exposés. But for our narrative filmmaking, it is what it is. You need to adapt it to make it the best movie possible. And I don't personally believe that we should put any onus on filmmakers to say everything that you put in this movie has to be 100% accurate. No, that's fine if I'm looking at them to make a documentary. But narrative filmmaking, I don't agree. I don't agree. I don't think we should. I think they should try to stay as true to the spirit of it. But, you know, are we going to get mad at Quentin Tarantino that Hitler dies in a movie theater arson fire event like he did in Inglourious Bastards? Are we going to get mad at Quentin Tarantino for saying that Sharon Tate survived the events of that night? Are we going to get mad? I mean, it's their job is to tell a story. And if you can be as accurate as possible, that's great, but I don't think there's any onus there on that. So that's just my personal opinion on that and how I approach those. I don't have the same expectations for a documentary as I do for a narrative film. Maybe you guys do. What do you guys? I know there's going to be a lot of you guys that disagree with me about that, and that's totally cool. That's why we're all film fans together. But what do you think about that? Jump into the comment section below and let me know your thoughts. All right.